Mafia, bringing you the vibe, the pride, the power. This is Charge. Hey, yo, Buffalo, you're gonna love this one, Sadna. Nah, I lived in a lab making this joint. Hours turned to days until it was perfect. Bill's Mafia in the house. It's the Queen City anthem, built on grit and grind. Buffalo style, yeah, one of a kind. Snow falling heavy, but the fire burns bright under them stadium lights. The Mafia ignites, we hold it down, loyal through the pain. Every snap, every hit, it's the charge we sustain. From the fans to the field, it's more than a game. It's a family, a legacy, remember the name.
Charge up the field, let the crowd take flight. Buffalo's heart, shining so bright. Feel the energy under stadium lights. Bill's Mafia strong, it's the charge tonight.
Yeah, we hold it down. In the 716. Let's go. From the tailgates lit to the thunderous sound, you can feel the passion when the Bills come around. It's a blue-collar love, built tough and true. From the heart of the city to the red, white, and blue, we bring that heat, even in the cold. With every drive, another story unfolds. It's Buffalo pride, yeah, the Mafia way. Under them lights, we making plays. You feel that? That's Buffalo pride. Every fan, every play, this city rides. We built this together. We'll never fall. Bill's Mafia forever. We answer the call. Through the highs and lows, we stay in the fight. Buffalo strong, yeah, the future is bright.
Charge up the field, let the crowd take flight. Buffalo's heart, shining so bright. Feel the energy under stadium lights. Bill's Mafia strong, it's the charge tonight.
Yeah, we hold it down. In the 716. Let's go. Let's go. From the tailgates lit to the thunderous sound, you can feel the passion when the Bills come around. It's a blue-collar love built tough and true. From the heart of the city to the red, white, and blue, we bring that heat, even in the cold. With every drive, another story unfolds. It's Buffalo pride, yeah, the Mafia way. Under them lights, we making plays. You feel that? That's Buffalo pride. Every fan, every play, this city rides. We built this together. We'll never fall. Bill's Mafia forever. We answer the call. Through the highs and lows, we stay in the fight. Buffalo strong, yeah, the future is bright.
Charge up the field, let the crowd take flight. Buffalo's heart, shining so bright. Feel the energy under stadium lights. Bill's Mafia strong, it's the charge tonight.
Hot on the mic, bringing it straight from Western New York to the world. This is Charge with Thomas and Sterling. Bill's Mafia, stand tall and proud. We got this.
Yo, what is up, everyone? Back in the saddle. It's the Charge Podcast. It's your host, Sterls, and my dog, TD, Ian, in the background. And we're going to talk some NFL draft. Excuse my voice. I've been sick for the past 2-3 weeks, man. And I just got a speaking voice probably, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday is when I called you, TD. It was like, yeah, dude, I think I'm doing the show. But it's been rough over here, man. Whatever's been going around, I got it. So, but it's good to be back. Good to see you guys. If you're in here tonight, make sure you leave a comment, like, follow, and subscribe to our show, the Charge Podcast, Buffalo Media Network, and we up in here. So, TD, how you doing, man?
We're good. My favorite beer was restocked at my favorite bar, Strange Bird. It's called Rainbow Slippa. It's delicious. So that was an exciting treat. We went swimming tonight. My son and my daughter are doing swim lessons, so I was in the pool for an hour, and we're a week from the NFL draft, which is legitimately one of my favorite things. Excuse me. 1 week from my favorite thing, the NFL draft. I'm super pumped, super excited. So we're going to get in tonight to a full 7-round mock draft and be Brandon Bean and Terrence Gray. You could be Terrence Gray.
Thank you. Very fitting.
Yeah. And we'll get into a mock draft and, be them and make decisions as we assume they would make.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough because right before the show, there was a signing by the name of Trey White. I don't know if you heard of him, but he's coming back to the Bills. And we were talking backstage, and TD is like, yo, it's a nothing signing. And I'm like, okay, there's nothing. And then there's like slightly above nothing. I think this signing is a slightly above nothing. And it begs the question, does it change? What's the purpose of the signing? We know the team looked at Bradbury this week. We've seen them bring in Trey Amos as their last 30 visit. We know cornerback is their biggest need. What is the mindset behind a signing like that? Like, it can't be a nothing signing at this late, right before the draft. I almost feel like it's a kind of a insurance policy. What are your thoughts on that?
It's all about the vibes, baby. Nah, I mean, Trey White knows the teams. He knows what it's like to be in Buffalo. He's obviously a veteran, so he's going to add something to the room, which is going to get younger. More than likely, you would think they would double dip at corner in the draft. So, I mean, at the very minimum, it's a very cheap contract for a guy that has familiarity with the franchise, the community, with the coaching staff, the scheme, everything in general. I personally, and this is my feeling, listen, I love Trey White. Love the Trey White Goalie Academy and all that happy-go-lucky fanfare shit. I love it. I love the guy. I think he was great for this team. I'm just the bringing back of guys like Jordan Phillips and Quentin Jefferson. It's like, and I know there's not a lot of options out there, so this is one of those, like, they're kind of, you're grabbing shit off the pile. So it's fine. At this point, he's on the team. Will he make it beyond that? I don't think it's a guarantee. I mean, we signed OJ Howard for a reasonable good contract, and he was cut in training camp. So yeah. I don't think it means that he's going to be here. I know people are like, oh, he was better in Baltimore. I mean, the bar to clear of being better, considering he wasn't great in Los Angeles and he wasn't great after the injury, is not hard to clear. So we'll see, could he prove me wrong? I really hope so. Because again, I love Trey White, love the dude. He's got an awesome personality. I was pulling for him to work hard to get back past, after the ACL, and then he had the Achilles injury in the Miami Dolphins game. I was pulling for him to come back to form. It didn't happen. I hope it does. If it doesn't, say la vie. We're going to end up with Trey Amos, hopefully, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that would be the goal. Slightly above nothing, I'll stick with that. But the cornerback room right now, obviously we know Christian Benford, Jamarcus Ingram, Dane Jackson, and now Trey White. Yeah. I think anything, if you want to look at this from a positivity lens, I think it's a signing that says, hey, our goal is to get a rookie. We're going to bring a veteran in here to help not only the rookie, but also Christian Benford. And stuff like that. So I'm in favor of the signing for that particular purpose and reason. Now, if you told me Trey White is your cornerback 4, I'm good with that. Like, you look at situations like in Kansas City where you needed, obviously Elam was a shit show completely, but when you need,
I think that's an understatement. I think
right,
was like really nice. He was an abysmal act of a person on that field,
but at least you have a player with the wherewithal and the instincts and the knowledge of the defense to be where he needs to be. Now, the athleticism isn't there. He's coming off injury. So that's probably, and this is $6.8 million signing. Now, I think those are incentive-based contract, and whatever the vet minimum is that's probably what he's signing for. So, yeah, to your point about OJ Howard. OJ Howard signed for like I believe was 2 million or something like that.
I think it was like 3 or 3.5.
Okay.
But it was
Sure.
enough that it wasn't nothing, but it certainly wasn't a big time contract at that time.
So we're going into next week, and you're gonna hear different teams kind of lobbying for different players. You're gonna start hearing all the rumors and stuff like that. But yet and still the Bills tell us all the time that they're very tight-lipped. There's not much information that really gets out. I mean, we've heard of the visits and stuff like that, but anything from inside intel, you're not really hearing anything. So I think it's one of those things where you look at the tea leaves, and then also defensive tackle. Like they haven't brought in really Larry Ogunjobi, who's going to be out for 6 games, along with Michael Hoyt. I think to me, and you can, before we jump into our mock draft, you could tell me if this is bullshit or not, but it does feel like to me that the Bills are going into this draft next week and they're saying, hey, I think we're going defensive tackle at 30. Mm-hmm. And then I think maybe with 56, I think they're going to be looking at corner, at maybe trading back up for a guy they like, or sticking and picking. And then, at 62, I think maybe best player available. I wouldn't, rule out a wide receiver or whatever that ancillary need is, or whatever, or maybe it's a double dip, but I really do feel that it's interior defensive lineman. And then they're going to, if there's a defensive end that they like, they probably would take it. But I think it's CB2, man. What are your thoughts on that idea?
I mean, I think that 30 could be defensive end. It could be defensive tackle. It could be cornerback. Like I think in a weird world, if like a Matthew Golden fell to 30, I think that's the only scenario. I mean, that maybe, unless they're like enamored by like a Luther Burden, but that, or like if they love Malachi Starks and they feel like he's a plug and play day one next to to Cole Bishop, and then maybe 56 and 62, they go defensive tackle, corner, and then as they're chipping away 109, they kind of fill out the rest of the roster. I think there's any combinations in any direction they can go, and really, and we'll get into this, obviously, what happens with guys like Shedeur Sanders is really, and like Tyler Shuck and you name any one of them, Jackson Dart. All those things are going to play into what comes to the Bills at 30, or what moves are made if people trade back in. I mean, there's all different names that could end up being in the first round. I mean, there's even like rumors that maybe Kyle McCord could slip into the back end of the first round. Like, there is any number of guys, and that's all talent that could pop down. So I think like it honestly depends what that group looks like at 30, and we'll see. We're going to really take our time. Ian, what I want you to do, by the way, and I forgot to mention this to you, each pick that we do by round. So in the NFL draft, the first round, they get 10 minutes, and look this up. I want to have whatever time that we get, or they would get on the team, is what we get in that round. So that's what we're going to do. So in the first round, NFL teams get 10 minutes. Second round, I think it's like 7, so on and so forth. That's the time we're going to get, that Sterling and I are going to have to make these decisions. And we're going to be very, very real about these decisions. Like, it's not going to be me and Sterls making these decisions based on like our feels or vibes or what we think and how, as fans, what we want. It's, would Brandon Beane do this in the moment, in the 10 minutes, whether maybe there's a trade that comes up value-wise, is that the right decision? The player comes up, like, we're going to weigh taking one now, what could be at 56, all those things that are going to play into all 7 rounds and how that shakes out for the Bills.
And with that being said, before we hit that mock draft, TD, it's been a couple weeks since we've chatted about the Bills, but let's have a conversation about safety real quick.
Sure.
Because, and people I respect and trust, but there's a sentiment out there that the Bills are fine at safety.
Sure.
And I disagree with that. I think, we don't know what Cole Bishop is in year 2. I think the team's high on him. Yeah. We have Taylor Rapp, who's often injured, right, and misses the big games and the big moments. I still feel like he's cleaned it up a bit, but he still plays a little reckless. And so I think McDermott's used to having really good safeties, and I don't think he doesn't have really good safeties. We have a entity that we just don't know about that yet in Bishop, and then Rap is I think he's a solid starter, but he's okay, right? And I think there's some, when you look at this draft, okay, if you look at defensive tackle, you're going to get possibly when the Bills pick at 30, you're going to be looking at the third or fourth best defensive tackle, right? You're going to be looking at the fourth or fifth best cornerback. But I do think when it comes to safety, you could be looking at the best number one or number two safety. And, you mentioned Malachi Starks, Nick Imawari, and stuff like that. I don't know this, but I don't think the Bills are going to pick a safety at 30. But man, it's like, dude, safety is a need. It's not one of the biggest needs, but it's you can get better at that position. Thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the best time that the Bills had as a defense was when Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer were here, right? And obviously they fell into getting both of them in free agency, which is not a normal type of scenario.
Mm-hmm.
You would hope to be able to upgrade. Again, I love Cole Bishop. I love Taylor Rapp, but to say that you can't upgrade is just patently false, right? Like, I think Taylor Rapp did a nice job last year, and he has filled in admirably. Dear Lord, what a mess that is. I think he's done a nice job. And Cole Bishop, obviously he missed time in training camp with that injury. So he was really kind of playing behind the 8 ball and had his work cut out for him.
Yes.
So you would hope that Cole should make strides this year in year 2 under, the team knowing the scheme, having really to be the starter from camp moving forward. But again, if a situation arises and again, like a Malachi Starks comes up and it's an option, it's somebody you have to consider. Really, I think it's an option that people would have to honestly really sit there and say. But I don't disagree that I don't think we're in a bad spot, but I certainly don't think that we can't look to improve in this draft if an opportunity arises.
Okay, and shifting a tackle. Obviously, the Bills don't need a tackle, but I think there's a good chance that at least 4, maybe 5 offensive tackles could go round 1. And
Sure.
I think if you're a Bills fan and you're wanting the Bills to have the pick of the litter at 30, I think you should be hoping that one of these tackles or all 5 of these tackles go in round 1 before 30. That would be the ideal situation here. So, with that being said, Ian, let's start this mock draft, man.
Yeah, let's get right into this. Again, guys, make sure you're hitting that thumbs up. It means the world to us. It helps with the algorithm. And if you're not already, subscribe to the channel. And we will get right into this mock draft. Now, we are using the Stick to the Model mock draft. If you haven't checked this out, it's great. Honestly, I think it's probably the best mock draft simulator out there. There's all different features, as you can see on the screen. You can draft randomness, simulation speed, trade frequency, need versus value balance. I'm kind of keeping everything where it is right now, but really, really nice stuff. And then there's some customizable draft data in here, but we're going to get right into this and start the draft. Speed is in a good spot. And Sturls, is there a spot in the draft that you want me to pause in the first round to potentially, if there's a room to trade, like maybe like a 24 or 25?
Yeah, I think starting with pick 21,
Okay.
that's a Steelers pick. I mean, I think there's a conversation to be had if there's a cornerback there that you really like in terms of like Johnny Barron or Will Johnson. I think we probably should have a conversation around there. So yeah, in the 20s somewhere, the Vikings at 24, like you said, those are some good spots.
Okay. Absolutely. So we could just recap real quick while we're here, just so people know. Cam Ward, Travis Hunter, Shedeur Sanders, Will Campbell, Mason Graham round out the top 5. Abdul Carter falls to 6 at the Cincinnati Bengals. Holy crap. Armand Membu to the New York Jets. Jalen Walker to the Panthers. Tet McMillan to the Saints. Ashton Genty to the Bears. That offense is terrific. Man, phew.
That'd be a nice pick.
Yeah. Calvin Banks. So you got what? How many tackles so far? You got Will Campbell, Armand Membu, and Calvin Banks.
That's 3 in the
tackles.
top 10, right? or top
Yeah,
11?
so lots of stuff. Will Johnson, Matthew Golden to the Cardinals. So Matthew Golden and
Okay.
Marvin Harrison Jr. That's a nice pick. So let's keep going right here. We're going to stop at 21. And we are Jade Barron and Will Johnson both went. So in terms of players available, and here's one thing that's nice about this. You can look at the players available before you pick, which is an awesome feature about this, the mock draft simulator. So if you haven't used that, that's really, really nice. But here are the options available right now. I think we should honestly just let it ride at this point. Lots of options: Malachi Starks, Kenneth Grant, Derek Harmon, Walter Nolan, all available. Do you want to go to 24 and we could see where we're at there?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
And Kenneth Grant. Oh, James Pierce is gone. Okay, Malachi Starks is gone.
too.
Okay, all right. Okay, and that's a very likely scenario. I mean, to be honest, we've talked about this for quite some time that it's
Certainly.
a very good chance that Kenneth Grant won't be available at pick 30.
Yep.
And that's fair. So in this mock draft, I mean, shit, that's what's happening. So we'll just keep it moving.
Absolutely. There's another offensive tackle as well. That makes, let's see, that would be 4 so far in the first round. And I mean, absolutely a possibility that Houston takes one here. So do you want to let this ride out till 30, or what are you thinking so far?
I like Derek Harmon. I say we let it ride till 30 and see where we're at.
Sure.
Hopefully he doesn't get
And there it is.
And he is taken.
Yeah, Derek Harmon went to the Detroit, man. The rich getting richer. That defense is really loaded with Elaine McNeil and Hutchinson, Derek Harmon. Man, that's a beautiful group. Jackson Dart to the Los Angeles Rams, man. That's an interesting pick right there. You're talking about the future of the Los Angeles Rams. That would be, is that 4 quarterbacks? Cam Ward, Shador. No, it's 3 quarterbacks in the first round. That's incredible. So, but that to us, Walter Nolan, Derek Harmon, and Kenneth Grant, I think that kind of takes defensive tackle off the board in the first round, because in terms of who's available in the first round, I love Tyleek. I don't know at 30 if that's the move. You might be able to potentially get him later. But corner, Siobhan Revel, Maxwell Harrison, Trey Amos, Azare Thomas, all available to the Buffalo Bills at 30. What are we thinking?
Oh man. I think I think cornerback is what we should look at. Now, are these proposed trades we got here? They're offering us what?
It's all so the Falcons are offering 46 and a future pick. The Saints are 40 in a future, and San Francisco's 43 in a future. I don't want anything that's a future. So, I mean, we could always try to counter with them, but I don't know if I want to drop back to 40 and potentially lose the option of, and if I'm going to pick between these 3, I think Trey Amos is the guy. That's who I'm leaning on. I think he fits the scheme. Height, weight, speed, hands, coverage ability. He's everything that would fit this team. And I think he would, really be an absolute slam dunk. By the way, for everybody that's watching, feel free to throw in the chat. We'd love to hear what you guys think in terms of, who you think would be the best possible scenario for the Buffalo Bills at 10, at 30, excuse me. But Sturls, what are your thoughts?
I think a trade out is very tempting, but when you look at this scenario here, if Derek Harmon, Kenneth Grant are off the board, because those are my gotta have it, and we didn't trade up, we stayed put, and that's totally fine. That's very viable. I think cornerback is the position that we got to take, and
certainly
I really do. I like Trey Amos. I think he's something that, to have 2 good corners, I think Trey Amos will be a good cornerback in this league.
Certainly.
I think he's got fluid hips. I do like the way he attacks the ball. He's not the best, in terms of tackling, but neither is Trey White. I mean, we just said that. So I think we go Trey Owens here. I think he gives you the ability to take the ball away, to where like when you just go back and you look at third down, we're just getting cooked on third down. You go back to the AFC Championship game and you're seeing, Kyrie Elam just getting abused. It's going to be nice to have a cornerback with some quickness, with some height and some aggression to take the ball away or to be where he's supposed to be. So this is the kind of signing where I say having a guy like Trey White in the room, the elder statesman, can coach these guys up. I think it's a slam dunk. So I think we stick here, Trey Elmos. I think Hairston. I think is another one that he's probably out of the corners that we just mentioned that are available. He's one that I take a look at as well. But let's stick and pick here. I like Trey Amos.
Now, I will say before we get to it, Roy Collins did say, would Luther Burden be an option here? I love Luther Burden. I think what he could add to this offense would be beneficial. But do I think the drop off of a Luther Burden to a Jalen Royals is that big where maybe a, Trey Amos to, Jacob Parrish? Right,
Sure.
The guy that we brought in. I think that's a much bigger drop off. So, like in
Hold
terms
on.
of the cornerback.
Before you press the button, though, let's look at edge and see what's at edge real quick.
Sure.
Just to be diligent here.
So Nick Scorton, Landon Jackson are the top options for the Buffalo Bills. I don't feel comfortable taking Landon Jackson. Nick Scorton is certainly an option, but I think again, I feel like I could get Landon Jackson with that second pick or JT Tuimoloau and feel really good. Or even like wait again, get a defensive tackle, maybe like an Alfred Collins at 56, and then get Josiah Stewart with their second round pick. So I feel like corner in terms of what they're getting value wise is much better in the moment. Just because I think the drop off is pretty significant at corner and they're going to run fast. The other option, the other name that I really love is Benjamin Morrison. I think Benjamin Morrison has a chance to be the best corner in this draft. I just wonder what that hip looks like.
Yeah. I mean, I like Siobhan Revel. I'm a big fan of his. Yep. I think of the cornerbacks mentioned, I think he has the highest upside of any of them.
Sure.
The problem is, what does that ACL look like? He's a year away. I mean, he got injured in September. Like that's concerning to me. Reports say that he's going to be back in training camp and be able to do everything he needs to do. So Siobhan Revel, to me, I mean, look, Trey Amos is a guy to me. Comes in right away, right now. You don't have to worry about any health issues,
Right.
But there's a thing where Siobhan Revel could be the best cornerback of this group. I mean, he gives you something that you haven't had: the height, weight, speed, and I think he has good ball skills too. So, but I'm good with either one, man. Those top three corners, Azare Thomas, he's really good as well. I mean, you talk about height and speed and aggression. I mean, that dude. There's some good corners here, man. There's some good corners.
This is definitely a
Dorian
fantastic
Porter. I mean,
draft.
shit. Like, I mean, yeah.
Let's go with. I think Trey Amos is. I think that's a great move.
30 visit.
They had him on literally, 30 visit, just the last day of 30 visits. So let's go there, and we're gonna keep an eye on things. Let's take a look at like 48, and potentially look at maybe move. Not 48. We'll go 50 because the Dolphins are not going to trade, and they take Alfred Collins right there.
All right.
Let's see what we've got in terms of defensive linemen. Darius Alexander is an option. Certainly. I don't know if he necessarily fits the mold of a one tech, which is really what they're looking for. If you wanted a true one tech, I mean, CJ West is a great option. Deion Walker is a great option. Bigger options like a Jordan Phillips later. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
The Bills did look at I'm not sure if they had any talks with Darius Alexander. Maybe they did the combine or whatever.
Sure.
But they did meet with some of those other defensive tackles there on that list. Go back to that list of players there if you don't mind.
Yeah, certainly.
Omar Norman Lott, who we've talked about at extent on this show. Josh Farmer is a guy that, I mean, I like him, but I don't love him. Deion Walker is in that camp as well. So, man, I think it's defensive tackle here. I mean, we could look at edge, right? Landon Jackson is probably still here on the
He
board.
is. Yep.
Okay, Landon Jackson, Jack
We could
Sawyer,
also take a
who
look
I
at safety.
want nothing
Xavier
at
Watts,
safety,
Kevin Winston is available.
Andrew Makuba.
Yep.
It's between edge and defensive tackle.
Yep.
We got our cornerback, so we feel good about that.
Yep.
I think we gotta go defensive tackle here, man. And we pick at 62, so we're only, it's only 6 players. So the question is this: do you take the defensive end that you want right now, and then kind of just figure out which interior defensive lineman is going to be there at 62?
I think, to be honest with you, if you look at who's in front of us, the only one I worry about is Denver. Most of these guys are probably not going to take defensive line. I mean, I suppose they could, but I would be very, very surprised, and watch, they're probably going to. But I think, I mean, we have the thing is, we do have a lot of picks, and I doubt we're going to draft all 10. Brandon Beane's likely going to get a little crazy. So we could, in terms of what it would cost to move up, and let me get a draft value chart up. I apologize for this, guys.
So I like the idea of sticking and picking here, and then try to trade up a couple spots from 62 to 58 or 59 and see if we can get, so I think that the move here, this is how it plays out. We got Trey Amos. I think we go interior defensive lineman, right? And then we go edge.
Okay. We could potentially, if to trade up to 50, it would cost a 4th round pick.
That's it. Oh, let's do it.
Okay.
I think that's very, like we said in the beginning of the show, this is something that Brandon Beane will probably end up doing. Honestly, if you held a gun to my head, I think Brandon Beane probably trades out of the first round.
Right.
He loves those 3rd round picks. I think he can, if you trade out of the first round, there's a good chance you're going to get that 3rd round pick back that they lost with it when they traded for Amari Cooper. So, so let's pull the trigger here.
Yep. And they did accept it. So we did move up to 50, moving up 6 spots. So in terms of available players, which again, by the way, guys, throw in the chat if there's somebody that you guys think or suggestions who you think we should take, feel free to let us know. But in terms of options, obviously Landon Jackson is available and Darius Alexander is available for defensive line. Carson Schlesinger, linebacker out of UCLA, really good option.
Yeah.
And then also Xavier Watts. So here's, in terms of defensive line, linebacker, safety, there is your top 3. Carson Schlesinger, Darius Alexander, Xavier Watts. And you can even throw in wide receiver, but that would be Trey Harris, and that's not till 64. So
yeah, I'm good on the wide receiver. I say we stick and pick. We go here and let's get Darius Alexander, man. Carson, hey man, Carson Schlesinger, dude, he's a baller. So the problem with that is, though, it's okay. So you have, a couple guys that you like already, right? And what does that say? What does that say to them having a 3rd linebacker when Milano, this is going to be his last year in Buffalo?
Certainly.
So, I mean, we did see that it does take about a year for these guys to kind of understand the scheme and can come in and play at a high level. So, what does that say to Dorian Williams if you go and take Schlesinger, right?
I hate to say this, in all sincerity, I don't give a shit. Like I don't really care what Dorian Williams' feelings are like. I am of the notion I want to get the best team possible. And guess what? Cream rises to the top. You draft competition, tell Dorian Williams you don't like it, then perform better. And if not, then move out of the way. And the guy who's going to be better is going to step up and win that job. Period.
For sure. But again, though, I mean, it's like you want to make your team the best it can be right away. And
certainly.
When was the last time a rookie started for the Bills? I think that was Matt Milano at the linebacker position. And Matt Milano, and then
that was after week 7 when Ramon Humber went down injured.
Right. And Tremaine Edmonds started as a rookie. I mean, he had to because he was such a high pick. But outside of that, I mean, you really haven't seen linebackers for the Bills come in and have instant impact. So do you trade instant impact, and you say we're going to punt for next year, or do you get a guy, like Darius Alexander right now, who can come in a very deep defensive tackle draft, he's a guy that can come in and play from day one.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think Darius Alexander is the move.
Yeah.
You line him up next to Ed Oliver, and you got two very, very talented guys right there. So I think that is, in fact, the choice. So let's go ahead. And Darius Alexander, welcome to the Buffalo Bills. Make sure I draft the right guy. I can't even see where I'm at. Okay, there he is.
There it is.
Okay, Darius Alexander. Our next pick is 62. So we're going to have an option of potentially getting another. I think Landon Jackson just went. He did. So that's disappointing right there. He just went.
All right. That's fair.
Right after we picked 51. So let's go ahead and take a look in terms of who's available. And the nice thing about this one, it crosses off who you've already. So cornerback, defensive line, obviously have needs. Those are some positions right there where we could do that. But defensive end obviously is an option. Safety is an option. Josiah Stewart is there. And then let's also take a look at wide receiver. Some interesting options there. Really good options, actually. Trey Harris, Jalen Noel, Jack Besh, Jalen Royals, and then Josiah Stewart. All very, very good options. Braden Swinson. Man,
I like how you just skipped over Isaiah Bond there.
I can't. I love his speed. I love his dynamic playing, but the Bills aren't gonna a guy with sexual assault allegations.
Listen,
he might go undrafted.
Listen, I'll tell you this right now. You can't have all choir boys. I wouldn't take him in the second round.
I'm fine not having choir boys, but I also don't want I don't want guys with fast fingers over here.
I mean, shit, you had fucking what's his name? Von Miller, who likes to hit women. Apparently,
they didn't even know about it until after that all that stuff was coming back.
Listen, let me tell you something. This is his third run in because he was out here in Denver. Okay. I had a girlfriend who used to go hang out at his damn house and party with all these people. And dude, he's wild, bro. It's not the first time. All I'm saying is the Bills, they went and got him, whatever. I'm saying this is that Isaiah Bond in maybe the fourth or fifth round, if he's still there, I would take a flyer on that at that rate because the risk is very low, So
certainly.
But right now, I mean, wide receiver, round 2. What you got going here? What you doing?
I'm taking a look at some mock trades. This is with the Saints, 71 and 93 in exchange for their 62. It says poor value, but they might accept. We could probably throw something in there in terms of, to get them to give us more. I think that's not a bad option. We get 71 and 93. They get 62 and 109.
What pick are we currently at right now? 71, right?
We're at 62. So we'd be moving back 9. Or we could just pick. We could stay and pick.
Yeah, let's stick and pick.
Okay.
So the conversation, I mean, wide receiver, we can have a conversation about wide receiver. I do think we need some more help at edge. So I'm a big fan of Josiah Stewart. I think, he doesn't wow you with his size, but I think he is a guy that gives you some first step ability. He played at Eastern Carolina for a few years and played in Michigan his last 2, and he was very productive playing in the Big Ten. I think he probably should get some more functional strength at the point of attack, but I do like, his array of moves to set up offensive linemen. I think he's a really solid player. So it's him. I like Jack Besh here. Jalen Royals is he's one of those guys, man. He reminds me so much of Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah.
He reminds me a lot of Brandon Ayuk. So I do like Royals. Jalen Noel, Trey Harris. I mean, those are some really good options as well. I mean,
that's why I wonder if you make that trade, right? And you're able to get 71 and 93, you might be able to get Josiah Stewart and Jalen. I mean, you might be able to get them both at 109 too. I mean, you could get a couple, one of these wide receivers. There's just a big gap. So I just feel like if you drop down 9, you might be able to get Josiah Stewart, and you also might be able to get, one of these wide receivers. Again, I'm also fine. Yep. We could stick and pick and go 62 and 109 and hope for the best.
Hey man, Jared Ivey's still there. I mean, like how is Josiah Stewart that much better than an Ivy? I wouldn't say it's markedly different. So I mean, a trade back could be here. I mean, yeah, you don't want to be here and then be like, fuck, like I'm just kind of stuck, right? Because you met your needs. You got your cornerback that you love. You got an interior defensive lineman, and because we got Darius Alexander, I do think we should probably double dip, a little later. So
Sure.
let's do the trade back here.
Okay. Let's take a look real quick, see if they'll actually accept that trade. I'm going to do the one where we just give them 62, see if they do it. It was rejected. So I'm going to go ahead and do a counter and see what they're willing to do. Let's see. Still rejected. Minus 18
well,
points.
We might have to stick and pick because we're probably almost out of time on this pick.
Yeah, we are. We got to be real close. Let's see. Nope. Okay. So screw it. Let's go ahead. We're going to go ahead and take Josiah Stewart here and hope for the best when we get back.
All right.
And we could always also trade up. But we get, let's say to 80. Let's pause.
Josh Farmer. Okay.
So players available. Let's take a look at wide receiver. Honestly, maybe wait and take Kyle Williams. I love Kyle Williams. Torrey Horton, your guy from Colorado, is also an option. Yep. Jacob Parrish, another great option right there. Double dip at corner. Safety, Andrew Makuba is also available. A lot of great options here in terms of available players for us.
I like Makuba here. He's a safety that can play center field in the back end, man, that deep half of the field. He can do that, right? And so if you get Makuba, you can have him. I think he's good insurance, or he may even supplant our current safety. And what's his name? Not Taylor Rapp. I'm talking about Taylor Rapp here. I think he's a he let those two battle it out. I think Makuba's a really good safety, good ball skills.
And Makuba just went.
Oh, great. So I can shut the hell up about that. Great. Well, so fuck. I'm wondering this is how they feel on draft night. That's why he always trades up all the time.
Yep. Let's just keep going. Let's go to 109. I think there's more option that they're probably going to stick and pick a lot of these times, and get the best possible player available on their board. And again, Torrey Horton and Kyle Williams are both still available.
Give me Kyle Williams, man.
Yeah.
I'll take Chris Paul Jr., who they've been salivating over. Oh my God. There's your linebacker right there.
Yeah.
But I give me Kyle Williams here, man. You need something at wide receiver.
And he is dynamic. He's one of the best in terms of separation in this draft. Really good 40 time.
Doesn't he feel like a Bills pick? He feels very
does.
Billsy. I think the Bills and Kyle Williams are not just because Kyle Williams played for the Bills a long time ago, but just his style of play says Brandon Beane's really gonna like this guy. So I think he'll be a Buffalo Bill when it's all said.
I agree wholeheartedly. Okay, we are coming up back-to-back picks, 169 and 170. And here's an option for a couple good, Brashard Smith, a running back that we need. Some later safeties that we can obviously look at. Linebackers, Kobe King, Jeffrey Bassa, Jack Kaiser, Cody Simon, excuse me. Lots of different stuff. Tight ends available here. Jackson Hawes is one that I kind of want to keep an eye on. Okay. He is the best blocking tight end in this draft. So certainly something that we need as that third tight end. Mm-hmm. And Thomas Fadone's a really nice option as well.
What's that corner?
Corner?
Yeah.
Couple different options. I honestly think that defensive line, couple different options here. Edge, Antoine Powell-Ryland is somebody I love. I'll be honest, Tyrion Ingram-Dawkins is one of my favorites. I think he had I think it was turf toe in his year last year, and it just absolutely destroyed his play. But before that, he was ascending as one of Georgia's best defensive ends in that roster.
Okay. Well, I think Edge is in play. Kobe King is nice. I do like him a lot.
Running back should definitely, I mean, potentially later on maybe be an option, but Brashard Smith is fun. That's again if you're going to trade James Cook, because I can't imagine they're actually going to roster 4 running backs at this point.
Right. I'm good with whatever here. I like Kobe King though. I do like him.
Okay. We can absolutely go linebacker. We could wait a little bit, but we have 2 back-to-back. So we could do Kobe King, Brashard Smith, and then maybe get Tyrion and Ingram Dawkins with the next pick.
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. We'll get Brashard Smith, who's one of the best receiving backs in this draft. So that gives you what you want. And then we'll finish it up with Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, really good defensive end.
All right.
I do want to, maybe this is, let's see. How many more picks do we have here? Okay. Your picks. We have 2 more.
2 more. Punter?
Okay. Punter and tight end 3. So let's take a look at specialist. How do you look at punters on this? Okay. What about Mastronomino? Oh, my keyboard sucks. There he is. So you could take Alex here. He's one of the best punters.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Brad Robbins and the guy we currently have, nothing inspiring there.
And then let's go ahead and we'll take the tight end, and I think we'll be good to go. I'm really loving this draft. Yeah, Jackson Haas right there. There's your blocking tight end. 6'5", 260. RAS score 7.2, 4.82. Strengths improving as a blocker, competitive toughness, yards after the catch, reliable hands. I mean, he's just very, very, very talented. I think he'd be a great option for the
I mean, tight end 3 is a need. So
okay.
I think
there we go.
I think we shoot.
Loving this draft. I love how this draft came out.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a couple spots there where we're just like, what the hell do we do?
Right.
But that goes to show, like, after, that first batch of guys, I mean, you're looking at not very similar in talent wise, right? Like we knew that this draft didn't have a lot of standout talent, but it was a lot of solid depth in this talent. And that's what this draft proves. The depth in this draft. I mean, I think we did a good job. I mean, Trey Amos and Darius Alexander, I think we fill 2 immediate needs right there, right?
Absolutely.
You get Josiah Stewart, a good young edge player with some juice. I love that. Kyle Williams. I mean, these are some really, really good picks in my opinion. Yeah,
no, I think that when it comes down to, you're talking about filling impactful needs with day 1 starters. And I see here, I mean, Trey Amos, Darius Alexander, Josiah Stewart, Kyle Williams.
Right.
I mean, Alex Mastronomino, are all guys that would immediately play. And even Jackson Haas, blocking tight end. I mean, these are all potential day 1 starters or impact players. And that's really what it comes down to. I know Brandon Bean mentioned, one of his pre-draft pressers before that, the way he breaks it down is, first round is, hopefully an elite player, absolute starter. Day 2, or round 2, round 3 is hopefully impact spot starter. And then beyond that, you're just hoping for people that can kind of contribute to the roster. And then everything beyond that, like, 6th and 7th round are hopefully maybe preferred UDFAs, right? Like guys that may not be able to make it to the practice squad. So you try to draft them to give you a little bit of better odds to getting them in-house beforehand. So I love what we did here. I think it was what I think they would do. A lot of RAS score specific players, guys that have, versatility, but also, impacts, again, like we said, impacts to this roster specific.
Yeah, and I think that the theme of this draft is you have to improve that defense dramatically, right? And I think, they've done that with some of the free agent signings, Bosa, Michael
Right.
Hoy, Ogunjobi. But now you kind of raise the floor of your football team by adding guys like Darius Alexander, Josiah Stewart. I do think Kyle Williams and Trey Amos, to me, I think those are going to be instant impact guys, to be
Yep.
honest. Trey Amos, I mean, we talked about him. Kyle Williams just feels like a very Billsy archetype kind of player. He's going to come in, he's going to do what he needs to do. He's going to work hard. He has a chip on his shoulder just because, he was kind of overlooked. And then, Kobe King. Kobe King has some really good athleticism. He does need to improve in pass coverage, but I think, you don't have to rush him to play. He could sit behind Dorian Williams and those guys for the next year or two to kind of see how it all shakes out, right? At least what
Absolutely.
he does is he gives you some bump on special teams, right? So he can at least do that. So Jackson Hawes, man, I mean, outside of Dawson Knox, we know Dalton Kincaid ain't blocking shit. So you do need a tight end 3 and a guy with special teams, right? To kind of compete. So I think, when you zoom out of this draft, I think, okay, like, you're not going to get a ton of just high end, blue chip talent. And this is not the draft for that. So maybe next year, you see a little bit more blue chip talent and you kind of restock the cupboard to where, okay, maybe next year is where like the Bills kind of get aggressive and they're going to be going into a new stadium. They're going to want a signing or a draft pick or something that's going to pop and get people in stands. I know you don't have to worry about that because you have Josh Allen. Who knows, the Bills go win the Super Bowl this year, but you don't have, what I'm trying to say is you don't have to fill up everything in one draft. I mean, it takes a while to build the roster you want. I think this draft is great for building your depth. So
yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. The nice thing is, this roster is pretty well made. I mean, obviously there are some spots that they need, cornerback 2 being the most needy. We really don't have a guy. I know Trey White, Dane Jackson, Jamarcus Ingram, there's a couple guys on the roster, but none of them you feel comfortable going into week 1 in a Super Bowl window, walking out there hoping to be the guy. So that's a big option right there. Defensive tackle at, 1 tech, obviously a guy, 2 gap, just run stuffing, hopefully, penetrating defensive tackle would be an option. There's a couple things that they need. And then again, some potential long-term options, Matt Milano's replacement, safety, a lot of things that we've kind of touched on. We didn't actually hit on safety in this draft, which is okay. I don't feel terrible about it because I think you hit enough spots that next year you can go head first into the safety market and feel good. And maybe they have a UDFA that they like that they can bring in as well. So overall, I think, Brandon Beane has proven that he's a good drafter. Does he have his misses? Certainly. But overall, those middle rounds where he makes his money, he's done an incredible job. And, Kyle Williams, Kobe King, Brashard Smith, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins, those are middle round players that, that's where Brandon Beane's going to make his cheddar. So I'm very, very happy with how this shook out. But let's finish this off. Sterls, why don't we let people know what the plan is moving forward for next week for the draft and kind of what you're thinking in terms of kind of the overarching view of the NFL draft for the Buffalo Bills coming up.
Well, so first of all, I'll be live streaming that thing right here next week, and we'll start with pick 1. And just kind of go through it. So, if you guys want your draft coverage, you can turn on ESPN or NFL Network and turn the sound down and, listen to me and TD kind of handle this thing. So we will be here for round 1. And then we'll kind of go, we'll see, man. Maybe, the Bills might trade out. So we'll Friday as well. So yeah, we'll have draft coverage locked in here. I don't know, man. It kind of just brings me back to, what we talked about at the beginning of the show is that your defense has to improve mightily. And you kind of read the tea leaves and Brandon Beane talking about, they like where their offense is and they've got, they were, 30 points a game and they got Josh Palmer and, you want your young wide receiver and Keon Coleman to improve, right, and see a little bit more from Dalton Kincaid. So I don't see the Bills doing a lot on offense. So I think, that brings us back to the defense, and you get Trey Amos in round 1 or get a corner. If Kenneth Grant or Derek Harmon are not there at 30, you go and get your cornerback. Just
Absolutely.
point blank period. And then if in this situation, like what we just saw, you might just have to stick and pick at 30 and take your corner. And I'm okay with that. Like there were some guys here that I was okay with the Bills taking. I do like Dorian Porter. I think, it does feel like the fire with his name is kind of dying down a little bit. But that doesn't necessarily, I mean, that just from an outside perspective, that doesn't necessarily mean that's what NFL teams feel. But I really do think, man, if you can get a really good corner and put him next to Trey White to teach him, dude, Trey White to help the young bucks, man. He is a great role model for that. So I
Agreed.
do like the Trey White signing. I don't like what he's going to offer on the field if he's
Right.
back 4 or 5, but man, put Trey Amos or Siobhan Revel or Hairston, Maxwell Hairston in the room with Trey White, man. Trey White's going to rub off on those boys. So I like the signing for that. And maybe that's what Brandon Beane was thinking. I know you think it's a nothing signing.
No. I mean, listen, I love Trey, and he's literally one of my all-time favorite Buffalo Bills.
Yeah.
Like I love Trey White, and I think what he brings between the ears is incredibly valuable in comparison to what he brings from the neck down. Like he's not going to be the same guy he once was. And I think we all just need to realize that, and that's fair and that's okay. And if it is a signing where they're just using him as a pseudo coach, that's great. I think it's like Micah Hyde. I think they could have just done what they did with Micah Hyde and not put him on the roster. But
Right.
I think they're also thinking, well, now we have depth. So that's fine. And I'm okay with that. And I'll come to grips with it. Maybe it was just a little harsh and reactive about Trey White. And again, like I said, I love Trey White and I'm hoping for the best. And I hope he proves me wrong, because the more the merrier. The more talent you have on this roster, the better off we're going to be. And we're all Bills fans at the end of the day. So if it means that we find somebody that helps this team when it comes to winning a Super Bowl, love it. Love everything about it. So I'm okay with that there. So at the end of the day, that's fine. And like Sterling said, we will have draft coverage Thursday night covering the first round. Me and him will be here. Might have some people hop on, kind of join us in terms of coverage. But aside from that, we will be here. Ian will be backstage, kind of keeping us on track and not losing our minds. But we do appreciate it. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up. Make sure you rate, review, share, and again, subscribe to the channel. We will see you guys next Thursday night, unless anything else happens between then and now. But again, we appreciate it. Sterls, take it away.
With that being said, man, like, follow, subscribe, go Bills, and maybe next week my voice will be better. Thank you for watching. Peace.
Go Bills.
Hot on the mic, bringing it straight from Western New York to the world. This is Charge with Thomas and Sterling. Bills Mafia, stand tall and proud. We got this.